Hey there, Jake here from the Honest Gadget, and this is the new YUNZII M2 wireless gaming mouse. I've been using it for just over a week, and on paper, it offers some seriously impressive specs for the price. You're getting a high-end POR 3395 sensor, up to 8000 Hz polling rate over both wired and 2.4 GHz wireless, tri-mode connectivity, optical switches, a 500 mAh battery, all inside a 63-gram carbon fiber textured finish. This currently retails for $74.99 USD, although at the time of recording it's currently on sale for $59.99 on the YUNZII website. So I'm interested to see how this stacks up against similar priced competitors. I'm going to go over the unboxing, design, shape and build, buttons, mouse feet, connectivity, performance and software. At the end of this, I'm also going to mention my final verdict to let you know if you should buy this mouse, because to be honest, I'm on the fence when it comes to recommending it. Also, thank you to YUNZII for sending me this mouse for review, and of course all opinions are my own. You can purchase this mouse from the YUNZII store or on Amazon. I've left the links in the description below. First things first, here's the box itself. Mine came a little bit damaged, but I think it's only superficial and didn't damage any of the components inside. It says here where art meets next level typing, which is interesting since this is a mouse, not a keyboard. I think that's just old branding. After all, YUNZII is a keyboard first brand right now, but yeah, maybe they'll want to update that in the future. Inside is the YUNZII's M2 manual and a separate information card with some tips regarding charging and the use of the 8K polling rate. There's also a cool grip tape here with a nice patterned design, which is a nice inclusion if you prefer a more secure grip. There is a braided USB-C cable as well, which is used for charging and to use the mouse in wide mode, along with a USB-A to USB-C adapter. This adapter lets you connect the wireless receiver to the charging cable and position it closer to the mouse. That can reduce any wireless interference, particularly if your computer is located underneath your desk or further away. Finally, there is a 2.4 GHz wireless receiver, although you won't initially see this loose inside the box. It's actually in the mouse behind the back mouse feet. This mouse feet is magnetic, so you can press it in and slide it backwards. I like this design choice, and it definitely feels like a YUNZII mouse. A lot of their keyboards have the same sort of principles where their dongles are also situated behind magnetic backplates. To be honest, I was kind of expecting extra mouse feet and dot skates here, but realistically you don't really see those extras at this price point unless you're willing to pay an extra $20 or so. The M2 has 4 colorways: white, black, pink and orange. I chose the white version, which has a fairly understated design aside from the visible carbon fiber style pattern across the shell. To be clear, this is a carbon fiber texture applied to a plastic body rather than a solid carbon fiber shell. You can actually see here the pattern does shimmer as light moves across it, which to me is a really unique look and a good selling point of this mouse. And I really like the texture as well. I would say this feels mildly rough or like a slightly coarse powder. It definitely feels grippy, and YUNZII describes the surface as sweat resistant and non-slip, and so far I haven't had any problems maintaining a secure grip. All in all, this mouse looks modern and mature. There's very little lighting, which is fairly typical for a modern lightweight FPS mouse. The only visible lighting during normal use is the small DPI indicator at the back, with its color adjustable through the software. The M2 measures approximately 121.5mm long, 63.6mm wide and 39.4mm tall. It uses a medium symmetrical shape that reminds me of mice from the Razer Viper family. You can see it has a raised rear section with tapered sides that narrow towards the bottom. This makes it easier to lift and reposition the mouse. I wouldn't call it completely ambidextrous though, because the 2 side buttons are only positioned on the left side for right-handed users. This mouse is made for those of you with medium to large hands. My hands are on the medium size, so I found the mouse very comfortable with my claw grip, which is the grip I use the most. To be fair, this should fit any medium to large hands in any grip, whether it be claw, fingertip or palm grip. Although if you have really small hands, it might be a little too big for you. Now, whilst YUNZII calls this a lightweight mouse at 63.5 grams, it's certainly not the lightest when it comes to gaming mice. There are a lot of mice out there that are under 50 grams and even under 40 grams, so I would say this is more in the middle compared to other gaming mice. I don't mind that this is slightly heavy. It's still quick and easy to move while retaining slightly more stability than something extremely lightweight. I don't make a lot of aggressive flick movements when gaming, so having a little more weight can make controlled aiming feel more stable. The overall weight distribution also feels fairly balanced, without the mouse noticeably tipping towards the front or back when lifted. I would also say the mouse body is quite well built. When applying pressure around the sides, on top or underneath, there is no creaking and no rattling, even when I shake it. Whilst the build is definitely solid, the main buttons, which use optical switches, could be better. The left and right buttons sound noticeably different from each other. There's definitely some rattle and hollow resonance that is more apparent on the left click. There also appears to be a decent amount of pre-travel, particularly when pressing farther back on the buttons. And yeah, I feel as if they are louder than they should be, unless that's intended. This is definitely not the most refined mouse click experience I've had, even when compared to mice in a similar price range. As for the scroll wheel, I would say it's okay, but its steps feel a little too heavily notched for my preference, and the sound while scrolling is somewhat coarse. Clicking the middle button itself feels fine. Now the side buttons are actually pretty well implemented and feel crisp and responsive, with minimal pre-travel and post-travel. Here's what it all sounds like, and I'm going to compare it to two other mice I have so you can see the difference. It is possible that my unit was affected during shipping, especially considering the condition of the outer box, but I can't confirm that. It may also simply be unit variation or some lack of product quality assurance. Either way, I can only judge the mouse I received, and the main click quality is easily my biggest complaint with it. And at this price, I expected something better. As for the mouse feet, they work fine and cover the front and rear of the base. I wasn't able to find information on what these are made from, but I'm assuming they are PTFE, although I can't tell if they are pure or not. I did find at this price point there are mice with high-grade PTFE feet, so if this isn't the case with the YUNZII M2, it's a bit of a disappointment. In any case, they glide pretty smoothly, and yeah, I didn't really find any issues here. One thing worth mentioning is that the front feet cover the screws used to open the mouse. That means you need to remove them if you plan on disassembling the M2, and since YUNZII doesn't include replacements in the box, you'll have to get extra mouse feet. That won't matter to most people, but it is worth knowing if you regularly modify or repair your mouse. Okay, this mouse features tri-mode connectivity, so you have Bluetooth wired and 2.4 GHz wireless. This is controlled by the switch underneath, which allows you to toggle between the different modes. There's a green and blue status light for wireless and Bluetooth respectively. I would say the cable for wired mode is a little bit stiff, but it might soften up over time. Still, you might want to get a cable bungee for a drag-free experience if you like playing in wired mode. As I mentioned before, you can use the USB adapter to increase the stability of your wireless connection. I didn't need to use it because my computer is already quite close to the mouse, but it's a nice addition to have. This mouse certainly punches above its weight when it comes to performance and raw specs. You're getting up to 8000 Hz polling rate and up to 30,000 dpi with a tracking speed of 650 inches per second. This is powered by two things, the high-end POR 3395 sensor and the Nordic MCU, which is basically the brains of the mouse. They work together to produce true 8K stability across both wired and wireless use. Generally, mice with weaker sensors and MCUs might struggle with an 8K setting, but luckily the M2 doesn't have such problems. I tested the mouse using Razer's polling rate tester and recorded peaks of around 7500 Hz when I set it to 8000. That doesn't necessarily mean the mouse can't reach 8000 Hz at all times, but it does show that the M2 can operate well above the more common 1000 or 2000 Hz rates. Polling rate results can also vary depending on how quickly you move the mouse, your USB connection, background applications, and available CPU resources. So under ideal testing conditions, it may be possible to get closer to the advertised maximum. Whether you actually need 8000 Hz is another question. Personally, I struggle to notice much difference once I go beyond 2000 Hz, and the higher settings also consume more battery and CPU resources as well, so it's sort of like diminishing returns where the higher you go, the less benefits you'll see. Some games also don't support 8K like League of Legends, which turns into a jittery mess. So I've been playing with this at 2000 Hz. Performance is decent and what I would expect from the specs. It feels controlled but sensitive enough at the same time. The biggest thing holding it back are the main click buttons. Despite the powerful specs, if your main click buttons feel slow, then your overall gaming experience is going to take a hit. The M2 can be configured through YUNZII's browser-based software. At the time of testing, I couldn't find a dedicated M2 link on YUNZII's main software page. However, I opened the web customization link listed for the older M1 mouse, and the M2 was detected without any problems. Once connected, the interface is fairly straightforward. You can remap the mouse's 5 buttons, create different configuration profiles, and change the 6 DPI stages. changes. The small light underneath the mouse changes color to indicate the selected DPI stage, and you can just hit that button to cycle through all the different DPI settings you've set. You can also adjust the polling rate, choose between the 1 and 2 mm liftoff distances, and configure features such as motion sync and ripple control. There is a macro editor, lighting controls for the underside indicator, and an adjustable sleep timer. I also like that I could make and save changes while using either the wired or 2.4 GHz wireless connection. Some gaming mice only allow their settings to be changed while connected through a cable, so that's some nice flexibility you're getting. So should you buy the YUNZII M2? Well, from a technical perspective, this mouse offers a lot for the money, and it's comparable to Western brands like Razer or Logitech that offer a similar spec mouse for 2 to 3 times the price. So you may think it's a great deal, but in reality, if you compare this to other Chinese brands like ATK, VXE or MCHOS, it becomes fairly average. On top of that, the main clicks and scroll wheel feel below average to me. I really can't come up with any distinct advantage this mouse has except for its carbon fiber design and texture. My recommendation is this: if you like the design and like the Razer inspired shape, then it might be for you. I'd recommend testing it in store if you can to see if you like the clicks, because I think that's going to be a deal breaker for some people. If you can't do that, I'd definitely recommend getting it from a retailer with easy returns in case you experience any issues. All in all though, I personally wouldn't buy this mouse, because right now there are better mice on the market that literally sell for around the same price or even cheaper. And in my opinion, those mice tend to have a better click feel. Anyway, that's my review of the YUNZII M2 mouse. Let me know what you think, and I'd like to know what gaming mouse you are using right now. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.